My name is Dennis Hagan. I'm from Toledo, Ohio. I own a paranormal team out of Toledo called the Toledo Spirit Hunters. We were established in 2017. My team got established because I became interested in the paranormal after watching multiple famous paranormal shows, and I wanted to find out if the paranormal was real or not. Came one day where I investigated a location locally here, and I experienced my first paranormal experience and became hooked ever since. I have investigated multiple locations, and I thought it was time for me to do a big project, and the big project I had to research. When I researched, I came across multiple locations in Michigan. And one of those locations in Michigan was the Doherty Hotel. And more researching into the Doherty, I come to find out that the spirits there were connected to the Purple Gang. I did more research on the Purple Gang, and I come to find out that the Purple Gang
was really ruthless and cold-blooded.
Ladies.
The prohibition that happened in the 1920s was a result of the 18th Amendment that passed to prohibit the sales, manufacturing, and distribution of alcoholic beverages in the United States. In return, created organized crime, gangsters, and speakeasies. Gangs were used to distribute alcoholic beverages to nightclubs, distilleries, and speakeasies. One of the most prominent gangs of the United States to distribute alcohol was out of Detroit, Michigan, the Purple Gang.
The Purple Gang was a Jewish gang from Detroit. They started out as petty thieves and helped organizing the distribution of alcohol from Canada to Chicago for Al Capone. They were also involved in 500 murders, racketeering, hijacking, theft, and they were also involved in the St. Valentine's Day Massacre, Collingwood Manor Massacre, and the Cleaner Dryer Wars. So we are on our way to Clare, Michigan to the Doherty Hotel. The Doherty Hotel has ties to the Purple Gang by the Purple Gang members of Isaiah Leboff and Jack Livingston. History tells that Jack Livingston thought he had a hit out on him, and he ended up shooting his cousin Isaiah Leboff, which was the lawyer for the Purple Gang, in the bar of the Doherty Hotel. We are going to the Doherty to find out if Jack Livingston and Isaiah Leboff's spirits are still attached to that hotel and will come through and speak to us.
Hi, my name is Dean Doherty. I'm fourth generation Doherty. My great-great-grandfather started this back in 1924. And before the hotel, what you had was called the Calkins House, and it was a big building, but it was wood structure, and that burned down in the late 80s. And so in 1924, spring, my grandfather, not a great-grandfather, but my great-grandfather opened up the hotel, and it was a fireproof hotel for 60 rooms. And so, but that's the main part of the hotel. And one other thing about Clare was we've always had the crossroads, either expressway or the railroads, and that's why the Calkins House was so popular, and that's why it was so big for such a small town. And people still say to this day, you know, well, how can a big hotel be in such a underpopulated area? And it's usually because those expressways or crossroads or railroad crossings. But in 1932, the Depression hit, and so we've always had a Purple Gang element, or mobsters, if you would, and they're out of Detroit. Capone would be Italian, Purple Gang would be Jewish. And what made him so powerful was the liquor running had to go through Detroit to get to Chicago, and so that was the first stop before they got to Chicago. So they were a pretty powerful group anyways. But Clare was about 2.5 hours out of Detroit back then. But back then, you had these 2-lane highways, and so actually it was maybe a 4.5, 5-hour trip to get up to Clare, and so this was considered way, way up north. And the other thing that happened in Clare was they discovered oil and gas, and so to front their money laundering, racketeering, and other illegal activities, they had used that front to launder their money, and this oil company to launder their money. The other thing that we're kind of, famous for, if you could say famous, was there was a shooting back in the early 30s. Two cousins, Livingston and Lebo, they said it was over. One thought the other would put a hit on him, but what happened was in the evening, he comes in, shoots him in our bar, sits down, buys the whole bar a round of drinks, and he got off on temporary insanity.
We visit 2 locations there. The Doherty Hotel,
right,
which you know about.
Yep.
Where the cousin shot the one cousin, which was a lawyer for
right.
The Purple
Jack
Gang.
Livingston killed Isaiah Leboff.
Yeah. Are you trying to show yourself? What are you doing? The device that we use at the Doherty Hotel is called the Flex 2. This device can be used for motion detection and for spirits to answer yes or no questions, and it can also detect any kind of fluctuation in temperature. Whoa. They said it was the reason for that was because he believed there was a hit out on him.
Yeah.
Is that
Jack Livingston was they called him Tex. He was Meyer Lansky's oil advisor, or
okay.
not maybe that's a bad way to categorize it. He was all of Lansky's oil investments. Tex Livingston was the kind of the guy that was like the feet on the ground and knew the business at its root, and how to build that infrastructure for oil companies.
Yeah.
And,
there's something down here. Whatever it is, it's not talking. That's a given.
Yeah. And where you're actually how to drill and how to build out that type of business. Okay. So Lansky had some investments with him in Oklahoma, I think. So when Lansky and the Bernsteins decided to make an investment in Mammoth Oil, which was the company that they owned out there, They brought in Charles Tex Livingston, Jack Tex Livingston, to run the operation on a day-to-day.
Feeling, or is there something? Said no. You don't want to grab the revolver? What if I come grab it?
You can't grab the revolver.
What if I come grab it?
He wants you to grab it.
What do you want me to do with it? You want me to shoot?
Well,
What?
it blinked right when he did it.
Isaiah Liebhoff was Meyer Lansky's kind of finance guy, lawyer type that was representing his interests in the area and in the Mammoth Oil. Livingston was a ladies' man and had gotten syphilis, and it was like ravaging his brain.
Want me to shoot it again? You hear that?
No.
Yes, it said yes.
Really?
Yeah.
He came to the conclusion that Lansky and Liebov and the Bernsteins were going to kill him. It wasn't true, and no one really knows where that came from.
Okay.
Other than maybe just being, you're around so much murder, and everyone you're doing business with is a murderer. You just kind of believe eventually they're going to turn on you and murder you.
Who's standing in the grid?
Can you tell us your name? Tell us who you are.
But Jack Livingston was in the good graces of the Purples and Lansky. Like I said, he was building that. He was planting the seeds that ended up. I mean, the Bernsteins and the Lanskys are eating off of that money that they started to make in the 30s off of that investment in Clare or around Mount Pleasant.
Wow. Look at that. There's something in that grid. Seriously.
I mean, that was long money, man. That was really what washed all their sins away. They were able to, clean all of their dirty money and continue making clean money off of the oil industry. And they expanded out into Illinois and Mississippi and New Orleans. And it was all because of Jack Livingston wrote the blueprint. So the notion that they were gonna, he was a golden goose.
As you can see, there's nothing on the SOS camera. I will, as you can tell, nothing on the SOS. Nothing whatsoever. But I take you up here to the grid. Look at the grid. That thing is lighting up like it's Christmas. And that was after I popped off the revolver over there, right there on the floor. Now, as you can see, the Flex 2's in standby mode right now, and I got two money backs in on each side. One's got a K2 and the revolver, and the other's got a REM pod. Whoa, that's almost...
producing golden eggs. But the point I'm making is that he was in no danger. They valued his services, but the syphilis was eating away at his brain. He became convinced that they were going to kill him, and found out that Lebov and the Bernsteins and one or two other people were having dinner at the Doherty and came in their blast.
Hold their leg. Look at that. There's something in that grid. Who's standing in my grid?
By Tex Livingston losing his mind and killing Lebov, so the company was split three ways. Garfield and the Bernsteins were one part. Lebov and Lansky was another part, and with Livingston, and or Livingston had another piece of it. So Livingston kills Lebov, that eliminates Lansky's piece. Then Livingston's committed in a mental institution and ends up dying a couple years later. His piece is out the window. And so kind of just by happenstance, the Bernsteins inherited the whole business. So instead of having 1/3 of it, they own the whole thing going forward.
Dang.
And Lansky ended up getting back in, but they trimmed a lot of fat without intending to do it.
Yeah. Okay. I was just want to hear your side of hear your side of story. Because you know how stories get told and it gets told a whole different way, and so that's why I wanted to bring it up.
All right, we are headed to Albion, Michigan to the leisure hour. This was a garage owned by Sam Bernstein and Louis Fleischer. We are interested to see if their spirits are still there and if they are going to talk with us.
Sam Bernstein and Louis Fleischer were brother-in-laws. Louis married Sam's sister Nellie, and they also started a junkyard scrap metal business. They had to show the parole board that they had a steady income and went clean. In the process, Louis also rented an apartment across the Kalamazoo River so that he could keep an eye on any cop activity that would hit the junkyard. Sam and Louis had a Graham Page sedan stolen during that time. Louis also used his auto body skills to create a ramp that would retrofit the car to slide safes in after they stole them from businesses. This car was also supposedly used during the murder of Senator Hooper. Alright, so we're here inside of the old garage that the Purple Gang used to use for car maintenance and stuff like that. It is now a bar/game room. We are really nice place. We're really excited to get to investigate this location to find out if any of their victims are attached here. So we'll see what we can find. Well, that sounds German. You see, I have a gun and 2 money bags. How many safes did you crack open here? You know, he ran a junkyard and a chop shop.
Yeah, and his dad ran a junkyard in the old neighborhood where all those guys would hang out when they were kids.
That's not me. I'm standing right here. Standing right here. I don't know what that was, but that's crazy.
Part of their MO was switching plates out.
Yeah.
It makes sense that they would move it from one property to the other.
Okay.
And like I said, the Fleischer family had a history in the junkyard trade. Those kids all grew up at a junkyard in the east side of Detroit, run by the Fleischer's dad.
Well, did you used to strip the cars in this? Did you hear that? Now, do you know, like, did they meet at, like, did Lewis and them meet at, like, the theater? You know, is it the Bower Theater in Albion?
In Albion?
Yeah.
That was one of the places they hung out at.
Was it? Okay. I was just wondering, like...
You gotta understand strategically why Albion was such a hub, because there was a lot of activity going on between the Detroit mob or the Detroit Purple Gang and the Capone mob in Chicago, and Albion is on the way to Chicago.
Was there anybody murdered on this property?
Chicago.
Yeah.
So, you know, Detroit to Chicago is about 4 hours, and Albion's about an hour and a half to hour and 45 minutes out of Detroit. So it's almost halfway.
Yeah.
So it would kind of was utilized as a as almost like a safe haven in between Chicago and Detroit, even though the Fleischers and Purples were running rackets around Albion.
Who's lighting this up? It said a name. I didn't catch it though.
There was a lot of safe houses that people would pay, like from Chicago, they would pay the Fleischers and the Purples to hide them in that western Michigan area in between Albion and Kalamazoo.
Okay.
Or Battle Creek.
That was you.
Where did Louis Fleischer live? Where does Louis Fleischer live?
Whoa. Did you hear that?
I did hear that.
Did you hear that?
Where'd that come from?
Oh, shit. Did you hear that?
Oh, it was you at first.
No.
Where's that coming from?
No.
What was that noise?
That's the freaking... There's something... It came from over here.
I heard it.
Did you hear it?
Yeah.
It was like a clicking sound.
Yeah, I heard it. Is that Louis Fleischer?
Something is active right now. We reached out to Mary Bassett, who's a spiritual medium, to do a walkthrough of the leisure hour. So we're here with Mary, who's a medium. I brought Mary in to actually tell us what she feels. She's going to do a walkthrough of the leisure hour and give us an insight on what's here. And I appreciate it, Mary, for doing this.
Yeah, you're welcome.
It means a lot.
It should be fun.
All right, so you lead the way. You know what you feel.
Which way should we go first? Right through here, or?
We'll go right through here, up in the building, wherever it leads you.
Now, the first thing I did pick up on this place is a building that's had many, many hats. Like it's been...
Is Lewis attached to this place?
Does it say probably?
Yup.
Sounded like it.
It hasn't always been the leisure place or like a restaurant type thing, but it's kind of been a lair, and it's also more about not so much the building but about the land around the building. When I talk about the land, I get chills. So a lot of blood has been spilt on this land, and like people don't even realize how much of that energy has been burnt. The first thing I did get when I started connecting with spirit is a female spirit came through, and she's like, I should have just stayed a spinster. It wasn't worth my time.
Okay.
The way I ended up.
Okay.
And the biggest lesson she wanted me to give you guys the message, along with this history, to really take in all the pain and the loss that's also been burnt into the property and the land around it, because a lot of people lost a lot of things.
As you can see, there's water.
Yes. Yeah. A lot of scandal.
That
A lot of scandal.
Conduct energy.
Yes.
So, you ready?
Yep. Yes.
Ready to go in? Let's go in. Let's see what you feel. We'll start right here. Lewis, if you're here.
Can you light up one of these devices for us?
I don't know. I didn't catch it.
I did study a little bit of the history, so I do feel this is a cover-up, and there's more property that's connected to the cover-up. Like, I see watch-outs that have been planted all around town almost, so they could watch this spot.
Well, if you don't want me to snitch, then do what you do to take out snitches.
This was a garage, but it hit a lot more through the garage, and I know they talk about like a car, but I also picked up on actually a pickup truck that was a part, and I'm not sure what the pickup truck did, but it was kind of there to play a trickster part. Like they used that to sidetrack somebody so that they could get away.
Do you want to kill me and run off with the bag of money?
But there's more vehicles than just that armored car that is connected. And I kind of see a blue pickup truck, and that's where they kind of hid. They hid them here. The other things that I got was upstairs there is a male energy, and that there is stuck energy here.
I decided to pull out the structure light sensor camera. As I was scanning the room, a manifestation showed up on the top left side of the restroom doorway and disappeared as fast as it showed up.
There's a lot of strategizing, a lot of planning. I'll read this right here. There's a lot of rampages in here, a lot of arguments, discontent. I did get a female energy and a male energy not always agreeing with how things were being done. They wanted to do it differently. They wanted to be a little bit more cautious, where the other one, he didn't want to be cautious. Go big or go home, we don't have time to play games.
I went down to scan the room with the SLS camera as Dennis was upstairs investigating the attic by himself. As I was scanning the room, I caught a manifestation standing on the pool table in the same direction as we heard the pool balls hit.
So I see a lot of planning, a lot of strategizing, and a lot of just the discontent, I think, is what brought everything to an end. Because I was going to ask if there was some kind of explosion here. Because what I got was explosion and implosion. So there's either something that happened here that drew attention, or they got in their own kind of argument and everything imploded after that, and that's where everything went downhill. Because it wasn't good in the end. They weren't agreeing in the end. They couldn't see eye to eye. There's something buried, something that's hidden, some kind of treasure that people might even still look at. And there's people that might have an idea of where it would be, but they don't see the signs and they don't see the symbols. Like it's right in front of their face, but they don't. There's stuff that's still hidden here that people haven't found. I do feel the tragedy and the secrecy and the mistrust and that anger energy where, like we said before, where there's no meeting no eye to eye, where there were trust factors where you really couldn't know the people that you were with if they were really going to be on your side or not. Well, I got picket fences, so I got the fences here when I pulled up on picket fences, but I don't think it's these picket fences. What I got was sort of like a cover-up type thing where farther down they made it look like something else so that people would really see the truth. So I think that's where I got from the picket fences mostly. And then also that there's a lot of dirty cops involved. That they're not, well, and I got chills, so I know that's like, and it's like an angry voice. He comes through, he goes, there's a lot of dirty cops involved. And there's never going to be any real justice. And he's angry. He's angry because, well, obviously there's bad choices made. Not the whole truth came out. And so a lot of people who got recognition for, well, you know, the capture or whatever, it wasn't the whole story.
Okay.
And so you do have that kind of energy that's attached to this property where they want some kind of justice.
Okay.
You know?
Okay.
Where the people who were heroes weren't really heroes.
Okay. Can you key on like one of the areas that you were pointing out earlier that was like a watched area?
I would say it's more that way. Because I know that there was key places that were key places in town where they stayed to watch the area. And I feel like that spirit that's upstairs, that was his job, was to watch.
I'll let you know one. You come this way. See that yellow house right there?
Okay.
That was actually the head person's housing.
Okay.
He would watch this area for any kind of cop activity.
All right.
So that right there is probably what you're sensing because he lived right there.
Yeah, it was watched all the time.
Yup.
And they had people that stayed here that watched all the time.
Yup.
When I pulled up, I could see a spirit in the window, and when I approached, I could see his left hand hitting the window, and he was wearing older style clothes, maybe like banker kind of clothes.
Okay.
And the first thing that popped in my head is he's as tall as a looking glass, so he would be taller than everybody else, but he would stand there and watch. But I couldn't really see what he was seeing. He was it was sort of like he'd been watching for so long that he was just kind of staring off into space. He'd been doing it for so long.
Okay.
So that's where I really get that watcher energy, was always being watched.
You coming over here next to my wife and grab the gun? Can you manifest next to my wife? Oh shit. Oh wow. Oh wow. Yep. Like right behind, well, it was right behind you.
It's still there?
Yeah. Oh. It ain't there anymore.
Next, we take Mary into the app.
The first one I connected with, his name was Sam. And so I kind of wonder if it's the same one that I saw up here standing in that window. And he's really cranky.
What?
And
Okay. First, I'm gonna stop you for a second. What did Sam look like? Dude, I got goosebumps.
that I don't know. I didn't look at any pictures. All I can do.
Oh, why do I have energy around me right now? There's something around me because I feel it. It's like I got goosebumps as if I have energy like near me.
Oh yeah, there's lots of spirit here. Oh, Sam's here because I called him forth for one.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I thought I heard something off in the distance over there, but I don't know if that was you downstairs. So I ain't gonna say it's paranormal or not. Oh. I beg to differ. So that was you moving over there in the corner?
And because I tried to call Harry out. He wasn't very interested in talking. He only gave me a couple of things. He literally told me, chickens in Chicago. I'm like, okay.
Chickens in Chicago.
I have no idea what that means.
Do you know their last names?
I didn't look that up. All I really tried to do was, I didn't want to research. I wanted just a name to pull forth.
Okay.
So that I could channel just that spirit and try not to have too much to feed on.
Okay.
But Sam's kind of cranky, and he says, for pity's sake, I have no time for those who are scared. He said scared with a T.
Okay.
Like, that's how he talked. So I felt like I needed to say that.
An accent.
Yeah, scared. And,
Did you hear that? There's a clicking sound over there. Right over there.
It almost sounds like it's coming from here, so.
Well, it sounded like it was coming over there in the corner, sort of. Because it was like really faded over in the corner because it didn't sound like it was coming from there near us. Go ahead.
so, like, he doesn't have patience whatsoever. And he only has time for the big plays.
Yeah, I thought I heard something off in the distance over there, but I don't know if that was you downstairs. So I ain't gonna say it's paranormal or not. Oh. I beg to differ. So that was you moving over there in the corner?
He didn't want to do little plays, and he didn't want to be careful. And when I connected with I think it was Nellie and Lewis, I think that was the husband and wife. She's the one that told me she might as well just stay to Spencer because she kind of got screwed out of the deal.
Okay.
That's kind of the way she felt, and it's like all I did was write down her name, and boom, it was just that's the first thing that came through. And they told me that there was a lot of trust issues, and that it was always a factor of luck, and luck can turn on a dime. They were the worried ones, and you need to take what you can get when you can get it, and be happy with it. And because this was supposed to be legendary.
You give us a sign you're here by knocking on the wall up here? No.
But it didn't turn out legendary the way they wanted it to. And that's where I got the combustible and the explosion. I really think at the end
Can you manifest yourself? Can you stand next to the money bag? Said yes. Can you stand next to the money bag right there?
they contrasted on what they wanted to do. And so that's what got them in trouble, because they drew too much attention to themselves.
Can you manifest over here and grab the gun? Yeah. Well then, why don't you come over here and grab the gun?
Yeah.
You know if Sam's still up here?
I think he stays here a lot. Like, he's angry. Like, I don't think he's like an angry spirit, like he's gonna hurt people, but he's angry, and I get chills all over. Like he feels like finally somebody, yeah, I'm angry. Like, I get I was doing something wrong. I get that.
Mm-hmm.
But I was trying to be legendary. He wanted to be ahead of the
So
game.
maybe angry at himself?
Angry at himself, but I think he's angry too about the dirty cops.
Yeah.
That pisses him off. Like if people are going to get in trouble, everybody should get in trouble.
Okay.
Not just the people, but why did the dirty cops get off too?
Okay.
Doesn't make any sense. Because it doesn't make any sense to me.
Okay.
He was going for the big plays.
Okay.
He was prepared for what happened.
Okay.
He was going for the big plays. I think more Lewis and Nellie, they weren't prepared for the big plays. They got into more than what they really wanted to, and that's where there was a clash of the titans, so to speak.
That was weird. My footstep was like, oh. No, I didn't even move my foot. I didn't even move my foot. Like I'm staying here the whole time when that happened.
Did somebody take steps up? Just take a step? Just stopped. Oh,
Said no. Okay, Mary. So this place used to be a chop shop. I know you did your history, but Louis Fletcher, Harry Fletcher, and Sam Bernstein, which was not related to the Bernsteins or the Purple Gang, ran this place. They used it as a junkyard. They used it to cover up their criminal activity because they would go and steal sedans and bring them here and actually, construct them to steal safes.
That's cool. Well,
In the attic, they would crack the safes. Now, you said you've seen watch areas. That house over there, that's where Louis Fletcher stayed.
Okay.
He would watch this place. When you said Sam, you're talking about Sam Bernstein.
Okay.
They were, okay, so Sam Bernstein and Louis Fletcher were both brother-in-laws.
Okay.
They married each other's family. Basically sisters.
Okay.
Okay. Harry Fletcher was Lewis's brother. That's where Harry comes in.
All right.
But I believe Harry was involved also in the Detroit Manor Massacre too.
Okay.
Not sure about that. I'm not going to quote that or not, but I believe he may have been the getaway driver, not the shooter. Because I think one of the Fletchers were the shooter. But I can't think of which one it was, because there was a couple that broke off and wanted to do their own thing from
They were like
the
three
Purple Gang.
brothers.
Yeah. So they used this as their criminal activity. There was also another junkyard that was owned by
A garage.
not a garage, but it was a junkyard,
Yeah.
because they would take the cars or the safes from here, and they would take them over to that junkyard. Now the Fletchers, their father owned a junkyard, so they would take crack safes up here, take those and take them over to their dad's junkyard.
All right.
You see how it all configures. That's why I had you walk in here, because I wanted to know, what do you sense? What is here? There's something here. We know there's something here, because when we investigated this place, as soon as she said Louis Fletcher, that's when we started hearing disembodied things happening. The pool balls clicking, the something else clicking, and I even asked, I said, what are people murdered here? And a voice came across and said, yes.
Yeah, that definitely was. Yeah.
So your insight helped bring forth our evidence that we captured, and I appreciate that,
Cool,
because
thank
it
you.
validates our evidence.
Cool. Thank
Very
you.
much
Yes.
did. Yeah.
Cool.
And we
Now
appreciate
I got
that.
chills too, so.
We appreciate that.
Yeah.
So, again, Mary, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
For doing this. Thank you for bringing forth, actually validating our evidence.
Cool.
Because what we captured, we had to know. That's why I want you to come walk through. We had to know. Mm-hmm. We had to know. What did we capture here?
It's nicer when you know for sure.
Yeah.
Too. Yeah. It's good for that validation. It really is.
We sat down with Mary to go over the history of the Leisure Hour and the connection it has with Sam Bernstein and Louis Fletcher. We were very pleased with the way the evidence coincided with Mary's reading. Altogether, the Leisure Hour still is stained with the Purple Gang.
We're heading to Clare, Michigan to Cops and Donuts, where this place used to be many different businesses back with the 1920s and 30s. It does have history with the Purple Gang being there, so we are excited to see what evidence we capture.
All right, so I'm here with Rhino, who's the co-owner of Cops and Donuts, one of the locations that the Purple Gang was involved with. If you want to just go ahead and talk about that.
Sure. Yeah, the building we bought actually was the bakery next door, but then we expanded into this building. And we'd always heard all the stories that when the Purple Gang used to come up here, this used to be a pharmacy, and they had a soda fountain along the north wall there. And the pharmacist that was here was a little goofy, and he would actually get a barrel of rum from them when they came through. And while they were here, if anybody came for them or anything like that, whether it be the cops or some other people looking to hunt them down, they could run, jump into the basement, run through the basement, and climb up through the hidden passage that's in the corner there, get up on the mezzanine. They could either jump down and take off out onto the street, or they could go up through the spring-loaded ceiling. And then there was even some concreted up tunnels that used to be used at one time in the basement.
Yeah. I also know that you had a window got shattered that you cannot explain.
Yeah, totally. It's so strange. Just this year in 2020, it was the early morning of July 4th, and we have workers in the building all the time, but we've got security cameras everywhere. And the window up here was put in just in 2016 when we did a renovation, so we know that it's a newer window, and all of a sudden it just shattered. And when they first noticed it, they came right up and took a picture, and there was just one little hole in there. It wasn't perfectly round or anything. It was like a chip gone out of it, but it spidered out from that. Then we reviewed the security footage. There was no one in the area at all. It's just totally unexplained.
Yeah.
At first I kind of thought that we hang these little suction cups on there and hang shirts on them, and I thought maybe it was just a weak piece of glass and that suction over time. But the suction cup was about 18 inches off to the side. There was nothing there. It just all of a sudden happened.
Yeah, I remember when you sent me that footage and I actually reviewed it. And when I reviewed it, when I first saw it, none of your workers reacted as if it was like a gunshot or anything.
No.
Like there was nothing.
No, and it was the inside pane, a double pane window, and it was the inside pane only, not the outside, so it did not happen from outside the building.
Yeah.
Something inside the building. I talked to the contractor that did it. He said he'd never seen anything like that. If it was a stress crack, like maybe the building had shifted, those normally break from the edge or a corner or something like that.
Yeah, to me, it's kind of like a bullet hole.
Yeah,
I'm just
something. Yeah, there's something there.
I compared it with some Googling bullet holes, and it looked like a bullet hole. So, not saying yes or no, but it did look like a bullet hole.
Yep.
But that, my friend, was crazy.
Yeah. The one thing I thought is, you when you see figures that you think are spirits or ghosts or whatever, they're always just like a hologram or whatever. Well, maybe it was just a shooting carried out, and those holograms are just so soft and everything that there was just enough in there with that bullet or something to only break the inside pane.
Yeah, I mean, it could.
Nothing was found laying or anything.
Yeah.
So it's totally unexplained.
I thought maybe it could be a residual energy. Something could have happened that day that kind of activated the residual energy to this building.
Sure.
Just boom, So
something broke it.
Yeah, I agree.
Unexplained. There's a lot of things that are unexplained. So we're down here in the basement, and this building was built in 1908, and you can see here how the foundation is built out, and they would come over here and they could step up here, step onto the other rock, and go right up and grab the ladder, and then crawl right up and get on the mezzanine up above. And we know that that was put there for that because back in 1908 when the building was built, you can see there's a bricked in area here and then the rock area. where that brick was actually windows that opened out underneath the sidewalk, so that would have been a fire escape. There would have been no reason to put that there. Plus, back behind here, I guess we got a lot of stuff over there. There's a tunnel back there that's all covered over now, and we know that that's a tunnel because in the back of the building is where the coal chutes used to be for the old stoves that were down here. So they covered over that tunnel, and then we also know that the buildings across the street had a tunnel that went between the Doherty Hotel and the bank over there.
Oh, that's cool. I like that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Hi.
And these tunnel, and this was a tunnel that led upstairs and then led to the attic.
Right, from the mezzanine there you
Yeah.
could get up, and there was a spring-loaded ceiling panel up there that they could pull down and get up into the attic if we
Yeah.
We had heard all about that before we had the building. We thought it was all hogwash, and then we bought the building and got down here, and sure enough, there it is.
There it is. You know. Now there was another location we did too. It was Cops and Donuts.
Yeah.
Okay. You know, we want you to see the surveillance footage, and you know, we found this like this under hatch in the basement that led up to the attic. You know, it was really cool, by the way. So the one of the owners, co-owners, when we went to go talk, co-owner was like, well, showed us the surveillance footage of security footage, and it happened on July 4th. Are you attached to that shotgun?
Do you want to be my friend?
Is that a yes?
Around 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, you see like nothing, and then the window shatters. Holy crap! Look it, found one. Got it. I see you. What are you doing there? Yup, it goes right along with this going off. Honey. Yup. Are you one of the gangsters? You come talk into this. Oh. Whoa. Whoa. Come here. I'm getting a charge of energy right here. And there's something right here. Like right there. Look. And the thing is going off. Hi. You keep waving your hand like I don't see you. I see you.
It's gone.
Yep, now it's gone. Now here's the mysterious part about it, Scott, and this is what really gets me, okay? It has a hole about this big. Are you sitting in here? You know, the Purple Gang used to be a well-known gang. I know you guys use this as a hideout. Like someone shot the window. But you don't see a bullet. and nobody reacts because they open all night because they're making donuts. The workers don't react, but you see a bullet hole about this big.
Eddie Fletcher.
All right. I got 3 loaded guns down here. 3 loaded guns and a bag of money. Well, 2 bags of money. Is that what it said?
Something like that.
Dang. And, pardon me. And what the coroner told me was that they bought the pharmacy next door to expand. And what's weird is some of the workers that we talked to said they've experienced paranormal activity there.
Do you have the other gun on the floor or something?
Yeah, no, the other one's in the bag.
Pull it out.
Okay.
Why not?
Are down here.
Hmm?
Are down here.
Oh, are they?
Yeah.
Yeah, you did put them in there. Louis Gillerman, James Powell, Joe Bernstein, Sam Bernstein, Sam Stain, Sam Vassallo, Jacob
Okay.
Levitz,
Nothing. Go ahead. Keep reading.
John Wolfe.
Any of those ring a bell?
Yeah.
Did it say yeah?
Maybe.
If there's like ghost haunting gangsters or ghost haunting gangster hideouts, you got to put at the top of the list, one of the most murderous group of gangsters ever. I mean, these guys had a body count that, almost reached quadruple digits.
In conclusion, the Purple Gang left their mark in many locations in Michigan. At the Doherty Hotel, to the deception and thefts in Albion, to the secrecy in Clare, we wonder where else the Purple Gang spirits are hiding out in Michigan.
It said I'm hiding?
Sick again to my stomach. And this feels like very, honestly, kind of vile, very violent. I wanted it on, but what was under it? I don't know. But that section felt strange.
I need to get out of here. I want to fucking shoot somebody right now.
Maybe take that hat off too.
Like I'm fucking serious.
Well, take it off. Yeah, let's go. I'm gonna turn that off or leave it on.
Oh my god, I need to get out of here. I want to fucking hurt somebody right now. I'm like really overcome with fucking rage.
Take the hat off.
I want to hurt somebody. Oh my god.
You want to put the SLS down?
No.
Good. You feel better?
No.